There are many Christians out there that are serving a God they do not know. In Christianity, this is selfish talk. We are not allowed to talk about our dreams. We're not allowed to talk about our desires. Your image of who God is the most important thing about you. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Rule and Reign, where we have been on a mission, essentially a conversational journey of what it looks like to walk in governance, live in dominion, to rule and reign in every single area of our life. Now, if you're with me for the first time or you've been with me for a while, welcome back and welcome to our first time listeners. It's been a while since I've been back in the podcasting seat since the last time I posted an episode back in September when we were back in New Zealand. And since that time, the Lord had invited us out into a whole new adventure, a wild adventure, an adventure where we began to follow Him through Asia, through Europe, through Central America, where we now find ourselves here in the beautiful Panama, a place where we now call home. During those few months, I really believe the Lord began to stir some things, unravel some things, and reawaken some things within my heart that I believe we are about to walk into now here in the Rule and Reign podcast. And so to kick things off in this season for this episode, I really believe that today's episode is one of absolute importance. Let me say this might not even make any sense, but I believe it is vitally important, this episode. Isn't it, has it ever occurred to you that most religions around the world, a majority of them have this sense of uniformity about them, right? They all look the same, sound the same, act the same, believe the same, speak the same words, have the same kind of doctrine, theology, whatever that is. But when it comes to Christians, you guys are weird, right? There are different, varying degrees. The extremities of Christianity right now is extreme, right? There are a whole lot of Christians is different. We are a different breed. We don't believe the same. We don't think the same. We don't speak the same. We don't act the same. We definitely don't dress the same, and we definitely have a different perspective of who God is. Why is that? I think the key there is actually what I said before, perspective, but it actually is the image of who God is to you. Yes, it has got to do with maturity in your faith, but listen, there are people who are mature in their theology, but not necessarily mature in their knowledge, their experience of who God is. In today's episode, I want to talk about how your image of who God is the defining factor about you. In fact, your perception of who God is, your image of who God is the most important thing about you. We have a saying in our organization that your image of the Father informs your identity, and from your identity comes your values, and from your values comes your vision, and from your vision comes your action steps. But it all comes down to the way you see God. The way you see God informs how you parent. The way you see God informs how you show up in your marriage. The way you see God, the way you see the Father, your perception, your perspective, your image of who God is informs and dictates the way you show up into your community or the way you show up in life. I've sat with I've sat with so many Christians, coaching and consulting them in different spheres, especially when it comes to the realm of dreaming. What is God's dream? What is the Father's dream on your life? What is the dream that is stirring in your heart? And for most people, they find this absolutely hard. The idea of dreaming, the idea of having my own personal desires. Are you crazy? In Christianity, this is selfish talk. We are not allowed to talk about our dreams. We're not allowed to talk about our desires. We are so good in Christianity telling people your dreams, your desires are selfish. Let go of your desires and pursue God. But as I have sat with people, the number one thing that comes down to is they have this fear that God will not approve of them. But it all comes down to the way we see God. That is why this episode, it is so important. In fact, I believe will set the foundation, the DNA, the uh, the direction and the trajectory of where we go on from here forward. That your perception, your perspective, your image of who the Father is the most important thing about you. It is it will inform everything about you. You will know. There's a lot to be said about a person of faith when they have experienced the Father. Have you ever had the experience where you speak with someone and you later find out, man, they are a Christian, but whether or not they're a Christian, there is something about them that is just so warm. There is something about them that is just so loving and genuine, that is invitational about them. I've had the privilege of being coached and mentored by a lot of Christian leaders. Man, there is something to be said about someone who carries the heart of the Father. There is something to be said about someone who carries the heart of who God is. Their language, their mannerisms. There's just something. Yeah, it's so hard to articulate, but you've just got to experience it. And I want to say today, whether you're listening for the first time or you've been with me for a while, it will be to your absolute benefit. It will benefit your business, your marriage, your family, your career, the future of where you're trying to go, if you would just take time out to go on the journey of discovering who the Father is. Because like I said before, or image of the Father informs everything about you. It will inform your identity. Your identity informs your values. Your values informs your vision. Your vision informs your action steps. But it all comes down to how you see God. I think, and this is going to be a bold statement, that there are many Christians like myself, this is why I used to be, there are many Christians out there that are serving a God they do not know. There are many Christians out there that are serving a God they don't even know. And for most of my life, most of my Christian life, most of my life in ministry, I was caught in this performance mentality, performance acceptance, Christian mentality, where the more I do for God, I felt like I was in good standing with Him because I was doing a lot. I was serving in ministry, leading others in ministry, and almost like I had this bank of good standing with God. And then came a time in my life where I felt like had enough. I wanted something different. I started having desires for something more. I was starting to be hungry and had this discontent within me. I was like, man, God, this is cool, but is this really it? How dare you, Zephanious? But is this really it? And in me, I was petrified. I was living with absolute anxiety that I thought I would be disobeying God if I ever wanted to walk away from ministry. If I ever wanted to leave what I was doing. I was serving as a worship pastor. It was such a privilege. I'm leading others, and was also for a short period there. I was also and yeah, leading groups within church. And then I wanted to just leave. To just like I felt like, God, is it okay if I stop this? And man, I was petrified. You asked my wife, and I went through months of coaching with a family friend who was a coach of ours, helped me come to this place of understanding that of really understanding my true sonship in Him. Like I didn't realize that like God was a father to me. And this is why I say that most Christians out there are serving a God they don't even know. That 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 God's will is the ultimate will. And this is how I saw it. It was this it was this thing that was the beeline. If you dare step out of alignment with it, you're gone. If you dare step out of alignment with the will of God for your life, it's game over. It's fully game over. And I was afraid of getting it wrong. I was afraid of that I was sinning for even wanting anything different. I did not know that there was freedom in the Father that I could ever desire for anything different. But what I didn't know, and perhaps this might be you, desires, dreams, aspirations are burning on the inside of you, and because I literally felt like I was in a demonic attack. I somehow got to the point of believing that me wanting to stop ministry, me wanting to do whatever it is I wanted to do, I thought that was the highest degree of Christianity, was to be in ministry, and I thought I was in a satanic attack by wanting to stop it all and do something different. But and then I realized this. Anyway, many months later, now in this season, having walked through freedom with the Father and began to see God in a whole different light, I now discover that that dream, that desire, that aspiration, that thing churning on the inside of you is actually heaven's invitation for you to discover Him and for you to discover you more. I'll say it again. The dream, the desire within your heart for something different that's stirring inside of your heart is actually an invitation from heaven for you to discover the Father and discover who He has always seen you to be. That is why I am so adamant that your perception, your image of who God is the most important thing about you. It informs everything about you. It dictates everything about you. It will infiltrate every area of your life. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And when you have encountered the Father in such a way that liberates you, it will emanate from everything you do. There is freedom inside of you. One verse I really, really, really loved in this current time of my life, of the last 2 weeks, I've been meditating of this thought that perfect love casts out all fear. And if anyone is afraid, it's because they are afraid of punishment, which means if you are afraid, you're afraid that God will smack you over the head because you got it wrong, which means we have yet to experience perfect love, which would indicate that perhaps that's not the way we look at God. And the only way that I can say that how I have measured perfect love in this last season is walking in absolute freedom. Is walking in absolute freedom to desire, to dream, to be real, to be the real Zephanious He's always created me to be. Why? Because I've got nothing to prove. I've got nothing to prove. My Father is the one who goes before me, who has laid the foundation of my identity. So many people are still trying to find their identity in their doing rather than their being, and just simply being who the Father has always seen me to be is the greatest freedom of my life. And now I simply get to walk in the becoming journey, in the maturing journey, in the development journey of becoming that which the Father has always seen in His eyes, the Son He's always seen. And that understanding has come from the way I now see who God is. Your perception, your image, your perspective of the Father informs everything about you. So many people have a deep theological knowledge. Isn't it annoying when you go through stuff and someone just like prescribes a Bible verse to you in your current situation? Right? Like it might have some application, but it has there's no sense of seeing. But when the Father shows up, that's a different story. That's a whole different story. Christianity is a whole different realm when you've encountered the Father. And I'll bring this to a close. Once again, I'll remind you that the most important thing about you is the way you see God. It will change your leadership. It will change your business. It will transform your marriage. It will transform your parenting. Right? The way you see the Father will infiltrate everything about you. And that's why I say Your perspective, your image of the Father is informs everything about you. It has a massive implication as to who you are and how you show up. So to bring this to a close and to set the foundation of this season of podcasting here in the Rule and Reign podcast, where we are on a mission, essentially a conversational journey of how do we step into a life of governance, dominion, ruling and reigning in every single area of our life. I believe it really starts from how do you see God? Your perception of the Father informs everything about you. You could be theologically deep and have no experience of who God is. Hope that sits with you. Hope that wrestles with you. And as always, this has always been a privilege. This is Rule and Reign, where we are on a mission, a conversation, a journey of what it looks like to walk in governance, live in dominion, to rule and reign in every single area of our life. See you guys in the next one very soon. Be blessed.